Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. Welcome to my channel and welcome back if you are returning. Today is a bonus episode because I had just got started on my romantic country daily color big, and I wanted to get a little more progress done this week. So I'm going to come in and do a little more work on this scene here that is you're zoomed in on. So what I wanted to do first was to take a yellow, chromium yellow deep. I cannot read that number and I don't have my little cheat sheet with me. I'm trying to read that. I cannot read it. 1075. Let me see if I can get my swatch sheet. Chromium yellow deep. Oh, 1025. 1025. Alrighty. So right after this episode, I will be popping in for my weekly color review. So what I'm doing here is areas that I left lighter. I'm going to cast some yellow. I might even lighten up the wood even more. I did grab some darker tones. We have two interesting light sources on this image. The fireplace way over here, and for this area, this little candle. So you're just going to see me add some warm tones with this yellow, keeping it pretty simple. I'm not going to worry about perfection per se. I just want to get the glow of the light. I haven't decided the kitty coloring yet. So I'm doing a little casting here, and then in the front here. Make sure you guys can see all these bits. Alright, so hopefully you can see all of those warm tones. The next part I'm going to work on, I do have a camel. It is not the color that you see here. Let's show you what camel looks like. This is my swatch sheet. It is very neutral, and I plan to use it on a couple of neutral toned images. I definitely want the candle to be neutral. And then I'm thinking I'm going to attempt, I want the blanket to be very neutral. With navy blue stripes, and I have pulled out a 5-color blend from light to dark blue. I will be using these blues throughout the image. So to cast the top of the chair and this blanket in shadow, and I also need to tone down the side of the chair. I do have the cool grays. Cool grays? What did I decide on? Cool gray. 70%. I'm going to sharpen it a little bit, so I can darken oops, can you see that? Alright, I have the pages of the book. And then I want to get this all filled in. I am thinking ahead that the 2 kitties might be orange cats, because I never owned an orange cat. And I thought that would be kind of fun. I am going to come back in here with my yellow to cast the Fireplace glow. I will be coming in with navy. Okay, so now we have this arm that is in essence casting a shadow. Along the bottom here, and then I even feel there is shadow and again, it's not perfect, just the hint of these shadows is enough. This corner right here is the darkest on the chair. We've got kind of a cast shadow and some light on the front here. Knocking back some of the wood tone. All right, I am going to grab the navy. So the darkest two tones I have of the navy actually are, that is not a blue. Here it is. Okay. And we have three dark tones to play with today. The lightest is actually Copenhagen, but it's quite dark. This purple is not purple. It is French ultramarine. And let me show you what that one is. French ultramarine is, even though the barrel is purple, it is this blue, and then the darkest blue is the indigo blue. Numbers 2115. The French ultramarine, which is this purple barrel, is 2088, and way up here, 2090, is Copenhagen blue. Sticking with pretty dark blues because it is a navy striped blanket. And then I will be going over with that dark gray. I would have to say with the color palette of the Arrtx, which is pretty typical, I don't find it goes dark enough. It doesn't have dark enough grays, and it does not have a dark enough navy, though I do like how light the blues get. So they went and did a nice job with the light blues, but not with the darks. Okay, I'm gonna grab, these are pretty close to the same tones, but you can see it's a little bit brighter. So where we have these light sources, I want the brighter blue. Now I'm going to go back to the darker. I didn't even use this lightest, which is Copenhagen. I was using the French Ultramarine, I think. So this is the lightest blue of the three that I grabbed. I'm now going to go back to the darkest, indigo blue. Back to the lightest, Copenhagen. I am going in the direction of the stripes, vertically for the vertical, and horizontal for the horizontal stripes. Okay, back to this is the middle blue. All right, next little bit with these same 3 blues, I am going to start with the darkest, using soft pressure ovals. Yeah, this is the indigo blue. I'm going to grab my yellow. Middle blue, French ultramarine. Back to the darkest, indigo. All right, now this will be tricky. I would like to work on the rug blanket, but I have to move this camera back as far as possible, and we're even gonna rotate it. So to you, it will look horizontal, but I'm actually working vertical. And I will be doing some light source. Now, I have to hold this. I knew this would be awkward. Okay, so that looks pretty clear to me. And I have to kind of look sideways. Now this is going to be interesting because the cat is actually, this is going to be fairly dark and there will be a shadow line. So this is just me blocking out some glow. I am starting with the darkest, the indigo blue. Going very, very soft over the yellow. So here's what's interesting. You're seeing these little dark lines. On the paper, this goes pretty smooth. See that? Smooth, smooth, smooth. When I put it over the yellow, it's kind of sliding on the yellow because the yellow is very creamy. So it's giving me a not very smooth surface. So we will see what I need to do about fixing that. I might be doing a little erasing. Let's see if it's going to do the same thing over here. It should. See, but I've already adjusted my pressure lighter. And there's no way that you can practice that because It's not the same on the practice, you know, the copy that I have where I'm kind of blocking out my colors. I actually pulled a darker color than the 70% grays. There's a warm and a cool. So I am going to be using sepia, which is a brown. I'm gonna switch to the yellow. I wonder if in the order I should have done the yellow on top of the blue, like I did with the green, because I think that looking over at the chair, it did a better job, I think. I'm doing a tiny bit, look at that, right here, looking back. All right, back to that darkest blue. The amount of pressure on this blue, and my hand is way far back to keep my pressure as light as I need, and I do keep rotating my tip. I do plan on having green. I think I'm going to leave the two lines, the beige, the camel, and these little triangles camel, and the inner fatter stripe is going to be green. I'm thinking ahead to the bookshelf, which I want to have a darker brown finish. I do think my books are going to be mostly brown, maybe varying shades of brown, and a few dark colors tossed in. I think I'm on my third layer. I am doing somewhat light layers to have a nice even look. I am going to grab the sepia now. I don't want to use up a lot of the tooth in front of the cat where the cat's shadow will be. So the cat's shadow, I brought sepia. Right here is sepia. I'm going to use that somewhat on my shadows. And I may put a little bit of black. I don't often use black, but I might need to tone this down a little bit. I think that looks good. And then back to the blue. I'm finally getting to the amount of tooth filled in that it is starting to burnish. I think I'm gonna switch to the green as soon as I get this. I'm not gonna do final burnishing yet. I'm gonna fill in most of the image and then make all of it darker at the same time. So all of these fun colors will be staying. Staying on my Lazy Susan until the very end. Okay, so that's nice for the moment. Yeah, this sepia, I guess I'm gonna have to use black. I've got dark green right here. Again, pretty far back on the pencil. Over here, get this started. Okay. We have a little bit more time, not a ton of time. I have to put these down. The yellow. All right, so I can get started if I can get myself situated correctly. Oh, where did the gray? What's this? That is a dark brown. Brown. This is a gray, but it's kind of a light gray. This is only the 50%. I really need that 70%, don't I? Next, I might have to pause to get, I must have had the gray in my hand. Where did I put the gray? I see it. Okay. This is the 70% cool gray. Let's see if I can just leave you guys still and get started on my plans for the fireplace. Again, the fireplace insert. What's interesting is I very possibly will need to, this is a far lighter on this smooth paper than it shows on the copy paper. I am thinking that the name plaque here, which is probably the brand, and these elements will be brass or gold. I am doing a horizontal rather than ovals. Very sketchy initially. And then because this is so light, I'll just keep adding layers, but I do have very close by, we're at 41 minutes, so we're going to be finished at 45. This is the 50% gray, and then I have the 20% gray. It's the 50, and these are all cool grays. Oh, this is warm gray. Let's see if there's one more gray. Oops. So I have the warm grays, and I am not opposed to mixing the grays. Oh, here's the cool gray. And here's the funny thing. Okay. To me, the bottom one is cool gray, the top one is warm gray. They're the opposite. And that's why I had this warm gray over with the cool grays. So I'm setting the warm gray 20% aside. So yeah, you have to not go by the barrel colors. I just cannot stress that enough. I just can't stress it enough. So I will be finishing this up in the next couple of minutes. I will then go get set up for the weekly review. I plan to talk about the 9 pencil sets that I pitted against each other on this week's big floral full page. I say big, but relatively speaking, it's still very small compared to a full-size coloring book. So we will be seeing what I thought. I used 3 professional sets and 6. I'm going to say 3 professional sets. I think I used 9 sets. 4 budget sets and 2 inexpensive. The 2 inexpensive ones that I own. And then we'll make plans for next week. We're at 44 minutes. I am finishing up with the 50% cool gray. So these sides here, I'm going to do a little bit of a shiny, not overly shiny, but just some vertical lines. And they will be lighter on the inside where the flames are going to cast their yellow warm tone that I will add as I get further along. I had to look at a few colored images of this, I will admit, to just figure out what all the pieces really were. I didn't even get initially that this is a insert, so it did take seeing some examples. Oh, that's what all that weird stuff is. It is not wood, it is like a black cast iron fireplace insert. All right, so that is all we have for our second day of coloring in big. I hope you guys found this fun and interesting. I can't believe I am actually here coloring with you guys in a full-size page. That is how far I've come. I feel like I have definitely progressed in my coloring journey quite a bit. All it took was me getting to the point where I was actually coloring in a book. So do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, consider subscribing. Again, I am going to be reporting on my growth and my plans to get my channel monetized. I will save the summary of this last week's changes, all for the good, of course, until the weekly review. I will see you soon.